Hey there, this is the Groovy Historian. Today I'm here with the fan of history.
Hi guys.
And we'll be doing a history podcast on Cyprus between the years 877 BC to 500 BC. Now, to talk about the first event which took place 877 to 750 BC.
Yeah, in 877, the hand of Ashur-nasir-pal II, the first great Assyrian king, the Lord of Massacres, was felt on Cyprus, but he never came to the island because, as all the Assyrian kings, he feared the ocean. But he did wash his weapons in the Mediterranean and asked for tribute from the kings of Cyprus, and he got it. And from that point on, there is some sort of long-distance relationship to Assyria, as the Assyrians are threatening to come to Cyprus and slaughter everyone if they do not pay the tribute. So the Cyprus kingdoms decided that it seemed a good idea to pay the tribute, but there was no real power exerted by Assyria on the island. It seems that there are 10 Iron Age kingdoms on the island, and we'll soon talk about our source for that knowledge.
Yeah. Alright. Now to talk about Ilidium and Chattery, I think.
Yep.
We'll elaborate on that, or?
You do it.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Now 750, strong Assyrian influence.
Yeah, the Assyrian Empire grows a lot stronger in 745 BC, so now the influence is felt on the Phoenician coast, on Lebanon, and that's pretty close to Cyprus. So the Cypriots are getting, oh, we better obey the Assyrians.
Yeah, to be fair, now I'm going to talk about one of my points.
Yes.
In the years 750 BC to 747 BC, there was major numerous events, and this was such a chaotic period for the island dwellers who lived in Cyprus, and they had major rulers who kind of ruled in Cyprus, but not really, Assyrian, Egyptians, and Persians. Now to go on, the 709 BC point, the victory Sargon over the 7 kings of Yahdan, Cyprus.
Yeah. And it's interesting the Sargon just mentions 7 kings and not 10. So maybe there were just 7 kingdoms at this point, but there are definitely 10 kingdoms very soon. Sargon speaks of this on his stele. He also mentions the island of Yadnada in his display inscription in Khorsabad. And he says, "I cut down all my foes from Cyprus, which is in the sea of the setting sun."
I'm scared. Alright then. Now,
yes.
talk about my point.
Go ahead.
In 699 BC, there was a major conflict between Assyrian Empire upon to Egypt Empire, which previously showed exertion, and they will kind of use their own policies in the past, and Cyprus took, and Egyptians took over it. Now to took over 709. It's going on.
In 673, we have the list of the 10 kings of the 10 kingdoms. It's by the Assyrian king Esarhaddon. And this is Esarhaddon at the peak of his power. He has attacked Egypt and he's winning. And should I read the quote?
Yeah, it'd be great if you want to.
Okay, Esarhaddon is a little less evil than Sargon, so I'll try to be a little less evil. "I summoned the kings of the Hittite lands and those across the river." And here comes the list of the Cypriot kings. Eshkit-Tura, king of Edil. Pilagura, king of Kirus. Kisu, king of Silua. Iruandar, king of Papa. Eresu, king of Silu. Tamasu, king of Guri. Armesu, king of Tamesu. Damusi, king of Quartakitadagast, Unasaurus,
Wow.
king of Lidir, Bususu, king of Nuria, 10 kings of the land of Yanana in the midst of the sea. I gave them their orders and great beams. And the interesting thing to note about the list is that the names are very Greek, except the guy from Kitttium, who is obviously a Phoenician.
And it was quite decisive, to be fair, anyway. Now, talk about 669, Cyprus gained independence, and how did this happen?
Yes, Esarhaddon dies very suddenly on campaign to Egypt, and his son is forced to take the throne way too early, and there is sort of a civil war. His son is Ashurbanipal, the last of the great kings of Assyria. And he will publish a list in 667 mentioning 22 kings that helped him fight Egypt, because Egypt immediately revolted when Esarhaddon died.
Yeah.
And these are the same 10 kings as his father's list. And it's very unlikely that not one of the 10 kingdoms changed their kingship.
Yeah.
So historians assume that Ashurbanipal is just lying about getting help from Cyprus.
Perhaps.
So we enter a long period of about 100 years where we do not know what kind of influence the Assyrians really had on Cyprus. And of course the Assyrian Empire dies in 612, but it is functionally replaced by the Neo-Babylonians. So the Neo-Babylonians could have influence over Cyprus as well. So between 667 and 570, we don't know a lot, but we know a little. There is a pharaoh called Vafres, or Apries by Herodotus. He's the son of Psamtik II, and he attacks Cyprus at some point. But he does not conquer it. And it seems that the mainland Phoenicians were allied with Cyprus and fought for Cyprus. The island is extremely rich during this period, and there is extensive trade with the Greek world, especially with Athens. And it's the Phoenicians. Kitttium was a Phoenician colony, a colony of Tyre on the Lebanese coast. And Tyre was clearly dominated by the Assyrians until at least 625. But we don't know if Tyre actually maintained its control of Kitttium at this point. We also found slave sacrifice during this time, so human sacrifice again.
Wow.
At several places, Amathus, Silutumbu, and Patrick. There's also the best evidence for human sacrifice at Silarka, and this was the burial site of the common citizens of Salamis. And then we have the point of luxury furniture.
Yes, typical Middle Eastern factors. Furniture everywhere.
And the Assyrians have this long list of stuff they take on their raids and their wars and their conquests, and they always they go out of their way to mention nice beds and nice chairs that they have taken. And it seems that almost all of these things come from Cyprus. And there are several ancient authors that mention that, oh, the Cypriots, they make this great furniture.
Indeed.
Well, that's all we know for those 100 years. And then we get to the pharaoh Amasis. And he is the guy who conquers Cyprus.
Eventually.
Eventually, yes. And 560 also marks the important point where Herodotus picks up the story. And he's the first historian.
Yes, the father of all historians, as we know.
Yes. And he's well known for just having a very wild imagination.
For the Troy and many major other important
Yes, and his
artifacts.
tales of the Amazons and stuff.
Yes, indeed.
But he is pretty good at talking about stuff which is close to him in time and space. And Cyprus is fairly close. So suddenly we have a pretty good source for
Yeah,
Cyprus.
it's quite realistic around that time. So there was a lot of trade between Greece and Cyprus, I guess. So his
Yep.
travels, why not? You may have heard something alright, I guess.
Yeah, the Egyptians are only around for 25 years on the island, but they managed to influence the island a lot.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can see a lot of Egyptian stuff, Egyptian architecture, and
Archaeology evidence and material
yes,
culture and temples, you name it.
and the rich time on the island is actually improved. So this seems to be like the peak of cultural development on Cyprus.
Hmm.
Until then, Egypt gets an
Oh,
enemy it cannot handle, and that is the rise of the Persian Empire under Cyrus the Great.
ah, that interesting guy.
Yes, Cyrus, he is extremely interesting. And when the Cypriot king sees that Egypt is
Yeah.
losing in power, and they see what Cyrus is accomplishing, they just submit to Cyrus
Hmm.
before he even sets foot on the island. And this happens to Cyrus a lot
Oh,
because,
yeah, definitely. Because of
yeah,
his great conquests.
he's pretty much doing the Assyrian thing, but he isn't massacring everybody, and that was the touch that was needed.
I guess at that chaotic period.
Yes, so people just submit to Cyrus before he even arrives to
But
places. People are like writing letters to him
yeah,
asking that, can't I please be a part of your empire?
and he was probably thinking, yes, why not? If you pay me tribute, such as Cyprus, how they gave him tribute, they offered him soldiers and
Yeah,
supplies as well. So in that way, kind of accepted, and you know, you can have your own tolerant of your own coins while your armies stay there, and you can kind of rule, laws you kind of pay me my taxes. So it's kind of a two-way partnership.
yeah.
Hmm.
And remember, in the 5th century, most Greek city-states will do this
Yeah.
out of free will.
Hmm.
But the Cypriots were valued allies of the Persians, and
Yeah.
they will fight for the Persians
Hmm.
already in 545 in the Carian War.
Yep.
They will help in the conquest of Babylon in
Ooh.
539. They will even attack Egypt in 525.
They're close allies before.
Yes, so they're really pro-Persians. So they submit to Cyrus without fight, and then they are like, wow, we love the Persians. So Cyrus must have been
Long
extremely
live
great.
Cyrus! They must have been thinking.
Yeah. In 520, we know that Salamis is the most important kingdom of Cyprus, and this may have been the case for a very long time. There is a king called Uelthon.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Udelthon, yeah, that's about right, yeah.
Yeah. He strikes his own coinage, and this is the first coins struck on the island.
Mm.
And they look extremely Persians, and he implies that he is the ruler of all of Cyprus, not just Salamis.
Mm.
And it seems that the Persians approve of this, but this guy was still a Greek. So we found an incense burner in Delphi,
Yeah.
which he dedicated to the Delphian god Apollo. But in 510 BC, Darius takes power in Persia, and that's a story in itself.
Yeah.
he's also a very interesting Persian king,
Mm.
and he doesn't like the Cypriots. He
At
thinks
all.
they should bow down to him and
Him and
grovel.
worship him. Ah.
Yeah, so now there are anti-Persian feelings growing on Cyprus, and the Greeks are starting to influence the island in an anti-Persian manner, and that splits the island into a civil war pretty much. Now they are separate kingdoms, but
Yeah.
or are they?
Don't know.
We don't really know, but
Yeah.
some of the Cypriots favor the Persians and some the Greeks.
Yeah. And I guess the last bit is the Battle of Salamis, but that should be the next part we shall do.
Yes, and I think it is the division of the island that
Yeah,
will lead to the Battle of
Of
Salamis.
Salamis, all the wars between the states and city-states and things like that. So I guess we shall wrap it up now.
Yeah, I just want to mention that the Battle of Salamis
Hmm?
is the most confusing name ever, as
Oh
there is the
my
Battle
God.
of Salamis in 490 BC as well, but that's not the one we're talking about.
No, the one before that, I think.
Yeah, we're
Oh.
talking about the city on Cyprus and not the island in Attica.
Yeah, not
They're named
just
the
yet.
same thing.
Yeah, I know it's a bit confusing in Cyprus history, to be fair, because it's back and forth, a bit of contradictory, but I'm not too sure.
Yes. I will hopefully get back to these events on Cyprus in my main narrative on my YouTube channel as well.
I would love to
But
listen
I
to
am
that.
in 730 right now.
Oh, pretty long timeline, to be fair.
Yeah, I've been going since 1000 BC. And do 1 decade a week was the idea from the start, but now it's for the 730s. It will take 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on there.
Yeah. Alright, guys. I guess we'll stop now. Thanks for listening, and this is the Fan of History and the Groovy Historian. Take care, guys.